You're listening to Business Success in a Virtual World podcast. If you are a leader navigating these new immersive technologies, this is your definitive resource to understand the innovative power of XR, VR, and AR. I'm Tim and Barton, Chairman of Creative Strategies, and I'm joined by Barton Goldenberg, President of ISM Guide. In each episode, we navigate through new products, effective strategies, and highlight actual business case studies implementing extended reality into business processes. Our resource website now boasts over 300 case studies, 300 articles, and 100 videos presenting successful examples of businesses using these technologies in field service, training, digital twins, customer service, in medical and manufacturing, and so much more. Check out the website at ismguide.com. Now, on to the next episode. This week, we're going to take a look at one of the major international airlines who has adopted VR and AR, especially for training. It's a very impressive case study of a major airline doing this, but it's the kind of example that I think the majority of the airlines are going to follow suit. So Barton, go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you've discovered and how Lufthansa is using VR and XR and AR in their operations.
Well, thanks, Tim. So Lufthansa Group is an aviation group that's headquartered out of Cologne, Germany, and they have operations worldwide. They have both the passenger airline division, which is what we all fly on, and then they have the aviation services segment, which is the large cargo business. It plays a dominant role in its European home market, but also globally. In 2023, Lufthansa Group had about 100,000 employees, and it generated about 35 billion euros, which is about $38 billion. Now, the origins of Lufthansa Airlines traces back to 1926, when Deutsche Lufthansa AG was formed in Berlin through a merger of two pioneering German airlines. And this foundational period in the 20s set the stage for Lufthansa to become a symbol of German aviation prowess, although the airlines, for obvious reasons, had to navigate through some of the complexities of geopolitical changes, including the Second World War, which actually led to a temporary cessation of its operations. And then Lufthansa was reestablished in 1953 and quickly became a global player. Now, their commitment to innovation, Tim, is both operational efficiency as well as customer experience, both sides of that coin. And it's a key component of their overall global strategy. For example, on the operational side, Lufthansa early on adopted jet aircrafts in the 1960s, and that revolutionized air travel by significantly reducing flight times. And then Lufthansa's evolution from a small national carrier to one of the world's leading airlines with an extensive network that connects continents highlights Lufthansa's enduring spirit and adaptability in the ever-changing aviation landscape. So let me now turn to a couple of examples of how Lufthansa is leveraging XR technology that includes both virtual reality as well as augmented reality, not only on the operations side, but also on the customer service side. So virtual reality stands out as a particularly innovative technology that Lufthansa has adeptly incorporated into various aspects of its business. Groundbreaking technology has not only revolutionized the way Lufthansa trains its crew, but it's also very interestingly transformed the passenger experience, marking a significant leap towards futuristic air travel. And I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. On the customer experience side, let me share with you some of the ways that Lufthansa has been pioneering in integrating virtual reality into both pilot and cabin crew training, as well as how to refine and enhance the customer experience. So Lufthansa provides immersive training environments for pilots that simulate real-life safety scenarios that can happen on planes without the risk of actually having the pilot obviously being associated with the actual flight. The cabin crew undergoes immersive training with within virtual aircraft environments, equipping them with practical skills and scenarios they might encounter in a real life, incident. The innovative training approach ensures that Lufthansa staff is well prepared to meet diverse customer needs, thereby directly impacting the overall passenger experience positively. So during these crew immersive trainings, they have many different scenarios where different passengers express different feelings during an emergency. A third example is utilizing VR technology, and now this is on the customer experience side. Lufthansa invites passengers to immerse themselves in a virtual world where they can explore destinations before even taking off. And this immersive preview not only excites travelers about their journey, but also helps them to plan their trip more effectively. In a fourth example, Lufthansa utilizes VR to offer passengers a unique experience, such as virtual exploitation of the airline or the actual aircraft before booking their flight. So what that means is they can actually get on the airline, look at seats, look at the room around it, feel comfortable with the airline, and that drives customer satisfaction and loyalty. These multifaceted VR applications demonstrate how Lufthansa is setting new standards in aviation for both training and passenger entertainment. Now let's look at where Lufthansa is headed. They're leveraging augmented reality, AR, for maintaining and training and enabling technicians to visualize complex aircraft systems through smart glasses for more efficient repairs and upkeep. No surprise there, somewhat forward thinking, but it's a good application of AR technology. Lufthansa continues to lead the way with more immersive VR, AR, and now even spatial computing experiences. So, as I somewhat alluded to, Lufthansa's vision transcends the conventional in-flight entertainment and aims to redefine passenger entertainment through personalized journeys. Very important for Gen Z, and millennials. Imagine embarking on a VR guided tour of your destination while cruising at 35,000 feet, or using AR to navigate through a bustling airport terminal with ease. Another example is Lufthansa foresees the future where immersive experiences redefine air travel, and they're exploring how VR can enhance not just the flight entertainment, but also training modules, customer service, and booking process. Now, we've all been through those horrific booking process challenges. So one of the most anticipated projects involves this enhanced virtual plane walkthrough for passengers. Before even setting foot on an aircraft, they can put the HR headset on, explore various cabin classes, select their preferred seat, familiarize themselves with the onboard amenities. And this tends to revolutionize how people book flights, offering an unprecedented level of transparency and personalization, which is quite important to many people, again, particularly Gen Z and millennials. Lufthansa is also looking at collaborating with destination cities to offer immersive travel previews. So imagine experiencing a day in Paris or sunset over the Sahara from your living room as part of your flight booking process, and Lufthansa will hopefully turn such visions into reality quite soon. But the big one, Tim, and I want to really get your input on this one, happened just literally a month and a half ago, and that was in February 2024, when Lufthansa launched one of the most exciting new XR projects, extended reality projects, using Apple's Vision Pro features to train airline crews. The training uses Apple Innovation Vision Pro features in spatial computing to represent realistic situations in an overlay of the virtual cockpit environment and the real world in the training center. By integrating AI algorithms, the learning content is highly individualized and tailored to the unique needs of each learner, and therefore allows for effective and efficient training. Trainees receive real-time feedback from their instructors, who can also adjust the situation, as well as even passenger behavior in real time to drive deeper learning. The goal is to individually promote the required competencies of the crews, since no two training sessions are the same. Let me just close with one thing. Go ahead, Tim.
So before you close, let's talk a little bit about this Apple impact on Lufthansa. The idea of spatial computing, as defined by Apple in the Vision Pro, is, as everyone who's tried it understand, that it's a game changer. In the way that Lufthansa wants to use this in training, especially for the pilots, it's very close to simulating what they actually do in an actual simulator. At Boeing or in Europe with the European manufacturers of the type of planes that they're on. And that's huge because in the first place, if you really have the exact cockpit layout that you would have in a physical simulator, in a visual headset, you can refresh their training on a very consistent basis. And where that becomes really interesting to me is where you're taking a pilot and taking them from one engine or one layout of one type of a plane to another one. They have all the principles, of course, on flying and all the other stuff. But if they're shifted to a new type of a cockpit, they can train them virtually as opposed to making them go to a simulator. The other thing that's striking to me about what they're thinking about here is giving the customer the ability to not only visually make a decision on what their cockpit experience is, or excuse me, their in-flight experience is going to be like, to determine, the amenities you'd get in first class, business class, etc., and envision what you would be like, especially you and I who've flown a lot of international routes. Most of the time when we get on a plane, we generally don't know what we're getting, unless we're in business class, where you have a fairly set idea, or more so in first class. But the visual experiences, I think, is transformational for the entire travel industry. And the other example that they were talking about is helping customers choose perhaps where they may want to go, the Sahara, Hawaii, Paris, etc., where you can have these visual experiences. And the more I've been using the Vision Pro, the more amazed I am at its potential impact on experiencing virtual travel. Some of them are so realistic that you're literally, sitting there on the beach as if you're on the beach. And I was in Hawaii recently where I actually took the Vision Pro, sat on the beach, visually took a Vision Pro spatial video of my sitting there on the beach, so that when I got home, I could sit in my easy chair and replicate it just as if I was still there at our place in Maui. So my point is that Lufthansa is taking a very interesting leadership position here at every level. They're doing it at the training level for their own employees, all the way down to the consumer level. And now that the Vision Pro has actually become part of their architectural designs for delivering this, I actually think they're going to lay the groundwork for many other airlines. And we happen to know that almost every major airline out there has bought Vision Pros to start working with in the same context. And so it does not surprise me that Lufthansa has jumped in now that the Vision Pro is ready and put this into a test phase for them. And I'm excited to see eventually how they flush this out and make this not only important to their operations, but to their customers.
You raise a couple of interesting and also very important points. The one I hadn't thought about, and I'm going to really think about it now, is how much can you use Apple Vision Pro in the cockpit for training versus a simulator? How would that work? Because you'd still need some simulation of, actual life accidents and so forth, and that has to be with the utilities and with the instrumentations and so forth. But you could save a lot of time and money potentially with just using the Apple Vision Pro on some of the simulation and cockpit training. So that's very, very fascinating. And they spend a lot of money, airlines, on training. The other thing that you mentioned, and I think we have to think about this differently, is the whole travel experience. From thinking about a trip and going there through the Apple Vision Pro, to choosing the airlines and getting on the airplane and looking at the airplane and looking at the seats and looking at how it's set up and feeling comfortable and choosing it, and maybe even having the opportunity to personalize my space with, my favorite blanket or teddy bear or whatever, to literally taking the flight and then arriving safely on the way into the airport, being able to use it to get to the gates right and easily and correctly. So the whole passenger experience can be facilitated and made more enjoyable as a result of the Apple Vision Pro effort that's being made. The one thing that you didn't go into as much as I think we should right now is this use of AI generated input into the Apple Vision Pro for what we call soft skills training. And that's particularly of the cabin crew, but also could be the pilots. And that could be the ability to train in-flight attendants on an issue that comes up with a passenger. And that passenger could be a very sweet little old man or little old lady or a person. That passenger could be the other extreme, unruly, very unhappy, yelling and screaming, or anywhere in between. And what the AI allows you to do is to change the actual training scenario of the person. So let's say you've trained how to deal with one behavior. It'll now test you on a different behavior so that you're ready, not just for one scenario, which is typically what we train on, given the way we train today, but the AI allows us to now do the full spectrum of emotional options or things that could happen on a plane, and that will make for a much better in-flight experience both for the crew and the cabin. So I think that's another interesting one. I think that AI generated training using Vision Pro glasses is going to be very important, not just in the aerospace or airlines industry, but elsewhere as well. Tim, I just like your thoughts on that.
Well, and let's be clear that I think conceptually it's a good idea. What'll be fascinating, and as you know, Apple's going to have their developers conference the first week of June. And at that point, we expect to hear a lot of information about what Apple's doing in AI. They've been very quiet on it, but they have introduced a paper that has been submitted to one of the AI committees about the architectural design behind what they're doing. So we have a few hints. But I do believe that when Apple gets up at the WWDC and give their keynote, they're going to show how AI is going to be used on every one of their devices, including the Vision Pro. And I think that's where we're going to get a real good input on how exactly AI may be used, like you just said. In the context of it, I was thinking about what you were saying because I have a lot of friends of mine who are flight attendants. And, they told me a lot about, their training. They go through all of these things, but they actually have to spend a week a year in a lot of cases going through it again, year after year after year. And they're given a lot of these scenarios, everything from guy has a heart attack, medical emergencies to unruly passengers and the whole thing. And imagine if they could speed up that part of it where they could actually have the attendant go through these, especially, I don't know what they call them. I would call them crisis situations, but scenarios where every quarter they could spend an hour on the Vision Pro going through these. And I was thinking about this the other day because there have been a couple of incidents on planes that were somewhat new that we haven't experienced. One was with one was a really cute one with a dog who, based on the fact that there were not a lot of people, I think it was a German Shepherd, got a seat of its own. And when the flight attendant was doing the intro about the life thing, the dog was the only one listening. And everybody was cracking up, including the flight attendant, because he just stood attention to while she was doing this, you know. And I mean, this is a fun thing because I've been on planes where the flight attendant had to intervene. I've had a couple where I had to intervene. They have a tough job. And if you can keep them up on their skills instead of making them once, and again, they may still want to do the once a year training, which they have to do because it includes other things too. But if you could use the headset to update that training on a quarterly basis, one, it's a cost-effective issue, but it's a very important way to deal with updating their skill sets, especially in scenarios they may not have had to deal with, but has happened in the last 3 months. And that happens,
Yep.
you know, and those incidents, by the way, are reported within the airline industry. So, you know, they learn from it on paper. Replicating it becomes even more interesting.
You know, the other thing I just want to note is the importance of the Apple Lufthansa collaboration. A lot of people saying, well, Apple Vision Pro, I don't know, it's so expensive, and you know, what's the real application? And behind the scenes, companies like, you know, Lufthansa, a global leader in aviation travel, and Apple are hooking up and collaborating and doing things. So all I'm saying is this is indicative of Apple's current efforts to quietly but effectively penetrate very important companies with their technology. And that's just the way it's going to grow and grow and grow. And if the price stays at 3,500 or drops to 2,500 or whatever, we're going to be at a point where the Apple Vision Pro has more than proven itself in the business world and potentially even in the consumer world.
Yeah. And even in the few months that it's already been out, Apple has done some fascinating things to show how more realistic it can be. If you've done the Vision Pro test at Apple Store, there's a video where they give you 5 or 6 scenarios that you can actually see it, how it works, including Alicia Keys' studio, one with a dinosaur, etc. But they showed one last week that is even more fascinating, and it was a recap of the MLS Major League Soccer last 3 games. And I got to tell you, when you look at that, you are literally put on the field and looking at the actual game, and it's like 5 or 6 game snippets that show everything from specialty goals to, you know, tackles, and which you're not supposed to do, but they do anyway in European football or soccer. But I was absolutely mesmerized because I'm sitting on the field literally as a part of the action. And I could see how the play developed in each segment. And I'm not a big fan of soccer myself. I just, it's not my game. I'm a big football, baseball, and sumo fan. But when it comes to Major League Soccer, you know, we've got 2 teams in San Jose, a men's and most recently a women's soccer team. And it appears that Apple's going to be involved with some of those 2 locally to bring this into reality. But let's just point out MLB, NFL, NBA, and MLS are all using and going to use Apple's Vision Pro as a part of the user experience. Bottom line
And
is,
while you say that, anybody that hasn't gone to their Apple store, it's a wonderful demo that they offer. It's no charge. Book it in advance, and you'll really see what Tim is talking about.
yeah. But the bottom line is every industry, not just Lufthansa, not just sports, all of them are experimenting with the Vision Pro. And granted, we're very early stages, but Apple's in it for the long game. But I do
Yep.
think what Lufthansa is doing here is one that is important note not only for what they're doing, but how they're going to influence the actual airline industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, all these technological advancements that I've discussed, the ones that are being done and are planned to be done, they all signify Lufthansa's continued commitment to innovation and to enhance customer satisfaction while at the same time streamlining operations. By embracing virtual reality and augmented reality and spatial computing, as you've already said, Lufthansa not only elevates its service offering, but sets a benchmark in the aviation industry for harnessing futuristic technologies to navigate today's realities. Not bad for an airline that started in 1926. That's almost a century ago, with the modest operations in Germany focused on mail and passenger services.
We're living in an amazing time. I keep thinking that, and I've seen the PC industry from day one for over 40 years. And every year I start my year thinking, boy, where we've come in a long time. And then something actually happens new the next year when we say the same thing. Even though you and I are boomers, we are seeing the most amazing transformation going on in front of us. And I do believe that we're at a fascinating time in our technological history where you're actually marrying not only AI, MR, and eventually we're going to see how quantum computing is going to impact our future. It's a fascinating time to be a part of the tech sector and take advantage of the technology that's being put forth every year.
Tim and I have children. His son is a little older than mine. I've got a 25 and a 26 and a 24. And when we sit around and just shoot the bull, I say, man, would I like to be your age all over again and be in the tech sector? That's all we keep saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Barton. We appreciate it.
All the best.
Thanks for listening to Business Success in a Virtual World. Barton and I have helped global companies successfully develop and implement strategies to utilize these new technologies. For more information or to contact us, please visit ismguide.com and select Metaverse Resource Center. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your preferred platform.